From CBS News Miami, this is Facing South Florida with Jim DeFede.
Welcome to Facing South Florida. I'm Jim DeFede, and the Florida legislature in Tallahassee is fast-tracking a number of bills, including a plan to allow anyone who owns a gun to carry it in public without a concealed weapons permit. I spoke this week to Congresswoman Wasserman Schultz about those efforts, as well as the state's plan to limit abortions to the first 6 weeks of a pregnancy.
But let's be very clear on what the Republican-led legislature and Ron DeSantis are doing. They have essentially staked out this disgusting corner of the universe called the pro-violence legislature. I mean, pro-violence Republicans are ramming through permitless gun carry in the Florida legislature to allow basically anyone to carry a gun without a permit, without training. And they're doing that in a state where we had the Marjory Stoneman Douglas deadly shootings and the Pulse nightclub shootings. These are people who wouldn't certainly talk about this in Orlando or in Parkland, but they're doing the NRA's bidding and essentially trying to ram through and roll back the promises that they made to the Parkland families after the Marjory Stoneman Douglas shootings. It's disgusting, it's dangerous, and they should be ashamed of themselves. And what's worse is that they are hiding this permitless gun carry legislation in a so-called school safety bill, which is grotesque, because they are afraid, because they know that the overwhelming majority of Republicans in Florida oppose this legislation. They're afraid to vote on it as a standalone bill. It's a chicken move.
So let me just break it down a little bit. So you're addressing specifically the permitless carry aspect of it. Do you also oppose the potential of lowering the age to purchase a weapon at a gun store or from 21 to 18?
Yeah, of course. This is a pro-violence Republican government. Ron DeSantis is pro-violence. The Republican-led legislature is pro-violence. You couldn't interpret it any other way when they are ramming through grotesque legislation that will ensure that more guns are on the street in the hands of people who are untrained, dangerous individuals, and we will have more death in our neighborhood.
Let me push back a little bit, because I don't know that any legislator would consider themselves pro-violence. So I mean, that's your language. I don't know that they would see this. They see it. I would say that they would make the argument. I'm not here to make the case for them, but they would make the argument that you know, having what they call, I had the House Speaker on my show last week. He referred to it as a permission slip from the government for permitless carry, to have a concealed weapons permit, that many other states already do this, and that it may make the streets safer if people are able to carry guns who can use them responsibly.
Look, many of these are flip-flopping Republicans who previously voted to make sure that we had some minimal common sense gun safety laws. They are absolutely voting for pro-violence bills that they would never defend in Parkland or Orlando. They are doing the bidding of the NRA. And if you look at the University of North Florida polling that recently came out last week, it shows that 62% of Republicans strongly oppose permitless carry legislation, strongly oppose putting more guns into the hands of people who are untrained and could get a gun under this bill with no questions asked, essentially. And then on top of that, you know, thankfully, President Pasadomo doesn't seem to be supportive of lowering the age to 18, but rolling back the age to 18. But that bill is barreling through the House of Representatives. And I mean, essentially what it means is that they want to put guns into the hands of more people, you know, who are less mature, and who the legislature a few years ago, in the wake of yet another 18-year-old mass murderer, decided that was something that did not make sense.
Let me just give you the argument that Paul Renner made to me when I talked to him about the 18 to 21, or moving it back from 21 to 18. What he said was that when Joe Biden came into office, he had a Democratic House, a Democratic Senate, and when they did gun legislation, Democrats did not raise the age from 18 to 21. So if the Democratic-controlled Congress and president wasn't for raising the age from 18 to 21, why should Florida be raising it to 21?
Oh, please. We just passed the Safer Communities Act with a Democratic Congress and a Democratic president, and it was the most significant gun safety reform in 30 years.
Let's turn to abortion. Florida it seems destined right now on a fast track to move the number of weeks in which a woman can get an abortion. It was 24 2 years ago. Last year they took it to 15. Now they're going to 6 weeks, which is virtually a ban on abortion, since a lot of women may not even know they're pregnant within 6 weeks. Your reaction to their plans with regard to abortion?
Look, if this legislation to basically to establish a near total ban on abortion in this state passes, they're going to be installing a policy that prohibits abortions before most women even know they're pregnant. Jim, when I found out I was pregnant with our youngest daughter, I was 8 weeks pregnant already. You know why? And maybe some of these Republican male legislators, which is the overwhelming majority of the state legislature, need a refresher course on how babies are made and a woman's menstrual cycle, because you usually find out that you're pregnant after you've missed at least one period, which is 4 weeks. And, usually because some women have a, spotty menstrual cycle, they're not, checking to see whether they're pregnant after they miss one period. That was the case with me. And, when I was 8 weeks, I did a pregnancy test and I found out joyfully that I was pregnant with our youngest child. The average woman in Florida, who gets an abortion, it's really about 15, 16 weeks. You have only about 4% of abortions occur after the 15-week ban. Most happen after 6 weeks and 6 days. So essentially what you're doing is you're going to adopt a near total abortion ban before most women even know they're pregnant. That's outrageous, and it's also overwhelmingly opposed by Floridians and by Republicans in this state.
I want to turn to more of a national, international issue with regard to Ukraine and the fact that Governor DeSantis recently said that he does not view Ukraine and the war, again, with Russia, between Ukraine and Russia, as being part of the U.S. vital interest, suggesting that he would not be as supportive of Ukraine going forward, even though he had in the past, when he was a member of Congress, had supported Ukraine. What's your reaction to the governor changing his position now on this?
Well, I think Ron DeSantis should focus more on taking care of the people of Florida than on answering questions that have nothing to do with his role as governor. I know that he is doing everything he can to copycat Donald Trump. In this instance, to suggest that Russia's invasion of Ukraine is nothing more than a territorial dispute is analogous to if Mexico decided to that invaded Texas and would start suggesting that Texas was once part of Mexico, so that it's perfectly within their right to combat us for it. It's dangerous. It puts Europe in danger. It puts democracy across the globe in danger. It allows for, if we roll back our involvement in making sure that Ukraine can remain the sovereign democracy that they are, then that gives a green light to China to go after Taiwan. It empowers Putin. And this is a state that has people from Venezuela and Cuba who have fled Putin's propped up tyrants. And it's insulting to thousands of people who fled authoritarian regimes here in Florida. What Republicans need to be doing is making sure that they stop engaging in these culture wars and start ensuring that they can make sure we strengthen our public education system, that we stop threatening Social Security and Medicare, which Republicans continue to do, that we don't waste time on made up woke ideology and threatening and taking away people's rights, stop banning books, which Ron DeSantis has done, stop banning speech, and ensure that we can focus on the bread and butter kitchen table issues that families want the government to focus on.
During the Trump administration, they instituted a family detention policy for folks coming across the border. There is speculation, talk, but serious talk, apparently, of that the Biden administration is planning on reinstituting some version or some form of the family detention policy for migrants. Would you advise the president not to go down that path?
What the president has been trying to do is make sure that we have a humane and orderly immigration process. The best way to solve that, Jim, is for Republicans to come to the table and sit down and finalize comprehensive immigration reform. That is the best way to stop immigrants coming to the border, as well as making sure, as President Biden's budgets have done, providing resources to countries like Honduras and Guatemala and other nations in Latin America to prop up and strengthen the economies and governments there so that they don't feel the need to flee their country and flee persecution, and that violence is reduced there. We are successful in being able to provide assistance to countries when we do that, and that's incredibly important. Republicans need to stop demonizing immigrants. That's the bottom line. This is Ron DeSantis needs to stop demonizing immigrants. He's been using the state law as a weapon against our immigrants, and it's baffling to me because we have so many immigrants who have come to this state and made this state the strong and vibrant state that it is today. And Ron DeSantis seems to want to treat them like they're the enemy.
Yeah, I want to ask it again, though. Do you believe that while working on those other things that you talked about, that family detention is a viable option for the Biden administration to pursue to reinstitute that Trump policy of family detention?
I don't think Joe Biden is going to reinstate family detention. No, I don't think that would be a good idea. But more importantly, what President Biden has successfully done is instituted parole programs that have allowed Venezuelans, have allowed Haitians, have allowed Ukrainians to come lawfully into the country, fleeing persecution, be able to be sponsored by an individual here in the United States. And that has reduced immigration pressure at our border as a result by up to 90% in some cases. And we need to make sure that helping people who are simply fleeing persecution and trying to make a better way of life for themselves and their families, that there is a lawful or continues to be a lawful and orderly way to apply for asylum and come to this country. One thing, Jim, that I want to underscore, though, is that, again, Republicans, especially Ron DeSantis, are demonizing immigrants, suggesting that we have fentanyl streaming across the border that is specifically being brought by immigrants. That is completely untrue. We have most fentanyl that's intercepted at our ports of entry. It is overwhelmingly being brought by Americans. The prosecutions of fentanyl smuggling cases have been about 86% of Americans. So, again, demonizing immigrants and lying about who is driving this problem is disgusting.
When we come back, we take a closer look at a plan by the Florida legislature that could limit lawsuits against property owners who endanger the lives of their tenants. Stay with us.